Hi, Nick Collier here, and this is my shop. Come join me. We'll have some fun. Well, good morning. It's a new day, and we've got another project, and this one goes right back to my roots. This guy calls up the other day and says, I've got a Harley Sidecar that's got a missing nut on it. And of course it's an older Harley, and you can't buy those parts anymore. So he says, can you make me one? I said, absolutely. So he brought it over and we had a look at it, and sure enough, I can make him one. So I'm going to bring you in closer. Let's talk about this a little bit. And when I say back to my roots, back when I was 18, I started building Harleys for people, and it kind of evolved into a small Harley shop of custom, excuse me, custom choppers, of course, and you know, I'll show you a couple of pictures. You know, I just started building bikes, and it just kind of progressed into a bigger and bigger shop. And by the time my wife and I split up when I was about 22, it was a pretty growing concern. The problem is back in the 70s, or yeah, early 70s, most bikers were, you know, badass, wannabe badass idiots that you know, wanted to pick a fight more than anything, and you add some 70s drugs to that, and you got problems. And I, you know, sure enough, somebody would want to be, you know, want to make a name for themselves. Why they want to make a name for themselves over with me, I don't know, but somebody would pick a fight, and you know, I just got tired of that. So when my wife and I divorced, I closed the shop and walked away, and that was the last I heard of Harleys. Went on to college, took a year in the art department, became an artist, spent the next 35 years being a jeweler, and then when I couldn't make jewelry anymore, I came back to my roots and started doing machine work again. And here we are right at my roots, working on Harley parts again. So anyhow, this is what happens, and this attaches to the sidecar, and this attaches to the bike itself, and there's a little rotating ball here that allows it to kind of settle into a position, and then once it's settled into position, you tighten up the nut. Well, of course, the nut is missing, so we're gonna make a nut for him, and hopefully it turns out okay. We're going to go scrounge up some metal and see what we can come up with. Okay, we found a piece of 12L14 that's going to work just fine, and he wants to have it as a hex nut. So we've got a little bit of extra material here, but I think it's going to be not too much of a problem. I think the first thing we want to do is to bore a hole in this and get it close to the size, so that we can center up on that hole and cut our hex. So we're going to go over to the little lathe, because my big lathe is in the midst of being used, and we're going to drill a hole and make a nut. Yeah. Yeah, no, that part is totally functional. Okay, so we're about 100 thousandths shy of where we want to be. Now we're going to take this over to the mill, and we're going to mill the hex on this. Okay, so we've got our piece. It's the hole is a little bit smaller than we needed, and I ended up having to put a couple of shims, and I just used some hot roll material I had laying around and a washer to get this thing to kind of stand up a little bit. And I think I might actually need a second washer. Let me go get one, and I will be back. I think 2 washers is going to be a better deal. Well, maybe not. It might roll that. Let's take that back out. Well, how much room do we have? So we are at almost 1 inch. Plenty of room. I'm going to go get a thinner washer and just get this up just a little bit more. Okay, so we've got a thinner washer that's and actually 2 sizes, so we should be able to come up with something out of that. Let's try that one first. And that one looks pretty good. Actually, I like that. Okay, nice and tight. All right, so now what we have to do is figure out what size hex we're going to do. And I think the first thing to do is get this thing on 0. And it is on 0. Look at that. Let's put a good sized bit in there. And he doesn't really care what size nut it is, as long as he can get a standard wrench on it. So it can be 1 1/8 or 1 1/4. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the bit across here and run it across all 6 sides, and then take a measurement and see what we've got and see what we're left with. All right, so let's bring it on in. And first thing to do is find center, and we can do that. Drop this down. Okay, we're sitting at about 3 thousandths. No, more like 1 or 2. Anyhow, I can live with that. Put the DRO on 0, and we know we are on 0 right now. So that's a 0. This is, I can't remember, I think 3/4. It is. So 3/4 out. Let's go this way. All right, we're going to have to walk it in anyhow. So let's just go ahead and do that. Okay. Well, that didn't work, did it? Okay. Just a little bit too high, I think. Well, you know how it goes. One thing doesn't work and everything else behind it doesn't work. So what happened is I had to reverse these jaws because the jaws were hitting in the wrong place, and it just wasn't going to work. And so we're going to shit can that. And we ended up cutting a whole new piece a little bit longer, because once we flipped the jaws around, there was nothing for it to sit on, and there's nothing for it to grab. So we had to cut a little bit longer piece, as you can see here, so that there's good grab action down there. And I'm going to take this and tighten it up fairly snugly. There we go. So now we're back to what we started with. And I think we can get this out. Yeah, it's in there good and tight. And so we're going to take a certain amount off of this, and we don't know how much. And then we're going to rotate it and take a hex off. And then at the end, we're going to come in and mill off this top surface, so we have a good square surface with the hex nut, and then we can go over and put it in the lathe and put the hole back in it and go ahead and go for threading. Okay, so now we know where our hex is going to land. Let's figure out what we need. Somewhere right in there. So we've got a good 1/4 inch to take off. I'm thinking we take this off, we put it in the lathe, we turn it down on the lathe, which is much faster, and we come back to this. That might work better. Woo, hot, hot, hot. Okay, so let's take this over to the table and lay it out and see what we have to do here. All right, we put this thing on the lathe and cleaned up that surface and then etched our radius for the hole in here. And now we're going to come in and create some walls for the hex. And we're just going for general idea. Okay, so it looks like we need to turn this down to that size, or maybe just a little bit bigger. So let's go back over to the lathe and see what we can do. All right, so I think we got it pretty well set here. I'm just going to come in and mark it. And that's hitting fully outside of the line, so we're fairly close. All right, let's just take this down. Well, good morning. It's another beautiful California day. Warm and sunny out. Well, warm comparatively speaking for the middle, not even the middle, the early part of February. I just looked at the temperature, it's 59 degrees, and it's, 8 o'clock in the morning. This morning I slept in, which, is unheard of for those who know my sleeping habits. I'm usually up around 2 or 3. So I'm refreshed. I feel great. I'm ready to go to work. And let's get to it. Okay, last thing we did was to rough this thing down. Let's see. Let me get some glasses here, because these days I can't see a thing. We've still got a bit more to go. I'd say maybe another 25, 30 thousandths on each side. So let's crank this thing up, take it back. We'll bring it in another 20. All right, we got all 4 or all 6 sides cut with the roughing bit. Now we want to come in with a finishing bit and kind of clean up those edges and make them look nice. All right, let's take it down to where we want to. We'll just bring it up just a little bit from the bottom. Tighten that up. Nice clean edge. Now what I want to do is back it up a little bit and then come back to the same setting. So we're going to back it up. Okay, so we've cut two surfaces with the finish bit. We're gonna take this back. We're gonna and then rotate. Okay, we got all of our sides cut smooth. Let's take a measurement and see what kind of size we've got here. It's going to be a little bit bigger than I expected. But the size doesn't matter. He said he can put a crescent wrench on it. 1/700, huh? 1/680. 1/675. So 1 and 11/16 is what we've got here, or close. And I think that's going to be okay. Though I'm not sure. Let's bring our head in, see what that looks like. It could go smaller. So we've got, oh, I don't know. That's 1/8 of an inch. I don't think it could go too much smaller. All right, so we've got that. Let's drop this thing down. We're going to take this bit out. First, we're going to take off all of those little razor blades. You see these little things right here? That's what gets in under your skin, and you cannot get those things out. So I tend not to try to handle anything that has those on it,